Welcome back to the program. So, no word yet on any updates on Glenn. Maybe we'll hear something by Monday. I don't know, maybe over the weekend. But as soon as I hear something, I will let you all know. So, President Trump's been very, very busy, and he understands that some of the greatest Americans are the ones that serve. And the ones that serve not only need dignity and respect, but they need help, and especially when they are done serving. As many of them, battle-tested, may have PTSD, may have other issues, they end up homeless and on our streets. And that is a travesty. Because if we can't take care of the best of us, then that brings out the worst of us. President Trump's trying to make a difference. President Trump has signed an executive order to establish the National Center for Homeless Veterans. He is going to redirect funds previously spent on housing illegal aliens. Well, hey, when you're getting rid of all the illegal aliens, you don't need the money to spend on them anymore, so you can turn it to more valuable things. And quite frankly, we shouldn't have one veteran on the streets. That is a travesty. So President Trump is doing something about it. President Donald Trump signed an executive order signaling the administration's prioritization of the nation's veterans rather than the illegal aliens. The EU will direct funds from housing for illegal immigrants to establish the National Center for Warrior Independence. The center will be located on the Veterans Affairs campus in West Los Angeles. A Trump administration official told Fox News, the new National Center for Warrior Independence will help them and other veterans like them rebuild their lives. The initiative will focus on providing shelter, health care, and of course, job training for our great veterans. Anyone that is in need and will be able to partner with private organizations to expand their support and their overwhelming resources. More, the center will allow veterans from around the nation to seek and receive care, benefits, and services to which they are entitled to, the White House said. The order redirects funds previously spent on housing and other services for illegal immigration to constructing, establishing, and maintaining this new homeless veterans center. The center will promote self-sufficiency through housing, substance abuse treatment, and support for productive work for the veterans housed there, as well as mental therapies included. According to the White House, the goal is to house up to 6,000 homeless veterans at the center by 2028. In addition, the order directs the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development to use vouchers to support homeless veterans. The order also has specific directives for the Department of Veterans Affairs to restore accountability and take action against individuals who have committed misconduct against our veterans. Further, it directs the VA to investigate and rectify the Biden administration's decision to rehire and reinstate back pay for employees previously fired for misconduct during President Trump's first term. According to an investigation by America First Policy Institute, of the 4,000 disgraced former VA employees terminated, the Biden-Harris administration offered reinstatement and paid over $134 million in back pay to more than 1,700 individuals. The Biden-Harris administration has let down American veterans and taxpayers. Those fired for mistreating American veterans should not even be allowed near the VA, much less reinstated. So in other words, after treating our vets like dog crap, like denigrating them, not giving them the right type of medication, possibly even keeping medication from them, making them wait much, much longer to see specialists. I mean, the Biden administration, the fake auto pen administration, was absolutely horrific to our military and to our veterans, not to mention the fact that they forced them to take an experimental death jab and then fired them when they wouldn't do it. Of course, President Trump has reinstated those folks and gave them back pay. But what happened is the people that attacked our veterans, that went after our veterans at the Veterans Affair in the first term of Trump, they were all fired. And then what did Biden do? He hired them back and gave them their money and said, thank you for treating our veterans like garbage. That is the mentality of the left and the previous administration. So thank God President Trump is doing something for our veterans. So I wanted to start with that. Next, the Department of Justice is launching an investigation into this planned Sharia city with a mega mosque and Sharia compliant schools near Dallas, Texas. Now, you may have heard rumblings about this for the past couple of weeks. Basically, you have this Islamic community that said, we don't care about U.S. laws. We don't care about your jurisdiction. We don't care about anything. We want a no-go zone in the heart of Dallas, Texas. And so there's been enough people outraged about it that eventually it got to the Department of Justice and President Trump, and now they are launching an investigation into this Sharia-compliant mega mosque near Dallas, Texas. And let's hope that they shut it down. Because what happens? All you got to do is look at Western Europe, right? They come in illegally almost all the time, and then they set up shop. And then they say, we don't like your Western values. We don't like your culture. We want to continue to be in the 7th century. So we're just going to continue to do what we do, abuse women, cover them up, kill homosexuals, do sacrifice, animal, whatever it is that they do, goats, everything else. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tell you that we're going to invade your country, and then we're going to make our own laws and ignore your state or your country's laws. That's how it happens, folks. That's how you get no-go zones. And then the next thing you know, you have mayors and political leaders in every single province, in every single area in the UK and elsewhere that are now dominant. And what do? They bring their 7th century savagery into their decision making, and the next thing you know, you have a takeover. Well, we're not going to let it happen here in the United States of America. And the Department of Justice is now hopefully going to shut this thing down. Next story. Missing heirs and mental illness. Wow, the story with Letitia James just gets weirder and stranger by the day. Okay? Wow, listen to this. New York Attorney General Letitia James has long portrayed herself as a crusader for justice, particularly when it comes to holding powerful figures accountable for financial misconduct. Boy, she's eating those words, huh? But a closer examination of the estate of her late father, Robert James, reveals a disturbing and ironic tale of legal manipulation, family dysfunction, and possible fraud within the Letitia James herself and at the center of it all. In 1983, 3 years before Robert James's death in 1986, Letitia James was just 24 years old and living at her family's 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn with 7 siblings. She had not yet entered law school. That's when she and her father, Robert James, applied for a mortgage loan to purchase a small home, 114-04 Inwood Street in Queens, as, quote, husband and wife. Again, this is where the fraud comes through. I'm not going to go through all the fraud because I don't need to. But what I am going to show you is how diabolical this person is, okay? Robert James dies in 1986. It wasn't until 1999 that Letitia James filed for letters of administration over his estate. The Inwood Street house that she purchased with her father was listed as the only asset. Here's where things get crazy. Letitia claimed that the estate's value was $105,000, matching the bond that she posted as the administrator of the estate. And then she claimed that there was no debts, there was no income, and there was no personal property other than that estate. Perhaps most curiously, Letitia handled the entire process pro se, meaning that she did not retain legal counsel. This is extremely odd. For any type of an estate planning, you hire a lawyer. You don't do the job yourself. But she did. She did the whole thing herself. She wrote and submitted every petition, every affirmation, every waiver herself, and even filed a sworn declaration confirming that she was not acting as an attorney nor accepting any compensation from the estate. Now, she signed this in, legal documents. This is more legal documents. And right here, it says, pursuant to 22 New York City RR 207-19, the undersigned is not acting as counsel for the estate and is not affiliated with any law firm or receiving any compensation or commission for services rendered to that estate, and was not a draft person of a will offered with respect to this estate. She signed that. She lied again on another document. Now, we're going to get into the reasons why. This level of self-representation is completely rare in estate matters, especially when the filer is a licensed attorney and public official themselves. It also means that Letitia, being both the heir and the administrator of the estate, faced no legal cross-examination about the estate and its inconsistencies. The Robert James estate filings reveal a fractured family dynamic. Letitia James stated that two of her siblings, Alberta and Marcia James, were, quote, missing. The two missing sisters were listed with their, quote, whereabouts as unknown. Letitia James, acting as petitioner and being the daughter of Robert James, filed an affirmation of due diligence detailing her many efforts to locate them. Now here's where it gets really interesting. She goes out of her way to go and contact hospitals. She goes and she contacts, different missing persons, bureaus, things like that, doing whatever she can to spread it out there that, oh my God, my siblings are missing, when in fact, she was trying to get as much money out of the estate and not have to split it with her other siblings, okay? That's what's happening here. She claimed to have contacted 11 hospitals, including Harlem, Bellevue, Lincoln, and Kings County. She contacted the New York City Department of Corrections, the New York State Correctional Services, and the U.S. Department of Justice. She even checked with the New York City mortuaries in all 5 bureaus. Letitia reported that their mother, Nellie James, had not seen Alberta since January 1997 or Marcia since March of 1989 and could provide no further information on their whereabouts. Other family members also had no contact or information what level of other mental illness could cause a sister, Alberta and Marcia James, to just simply disappear. Well, what we're finding out is that there was confirmed schizophrenia deep within the James family. In the estate filing, Letitia's brother, Rick James, was confirmed to have been diagnosed with schizophrenia around 1975, including her mother and distant relatives and cousins. He was not under any medication or any doctor's care at the time of the filing. Then it goes on to talk about the fact that he lived at the estate property that Letitia had purchased with her father and refused all voluntary medical treatment. This is interesting because you can see two things here. The missing, quote-unquote, missing siblings might not be missing, but she has had a rift within her family, and according to what I have found out, she was the darling child of Robert James, his favorite, if you will, which is why he signed on documents giving her homes, giving her apartment buildings, giving her the benefits, sending her to, law school and all that. Many of her other siblings were in trouble with the law. Some of them, again, had mental issues and things like that. And then according to this, 2 of them are missing. So let's see. If you can eliminate a bunch of your siblings and your father's favorite, financially, you think you might actually end up getting more money out of an estate? I think so. That's what's happening here. And these documents that she signed, she falsified again. So it's not just mortgage documents. She's now falsifying wills and estates as well. I'm telling you, she's going down, okay? She's going down. And it couldn't happen faster and quicker. And now I have heard, yesterday as a matter of fact, that they not only have subpoenaed all these financial records, but they have now got a grand jury. So that means that sometime in the future, I don't know when it's going to be, whether it's 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, I don't know. But at some point, when they have the case buttoned up 100%, they're going to indict her, okay? I'm pretty confident of it. So, couldn't happen to a nicer person if you ask me. All right. Next. You probably heard about this because it broke today. Basically, you have New Jersey radical extremists, including Robert Menendez Jr. Gee, why does that Bob Menendez name sound familiar? Oh, that's right. Because your rotten, disgusting, depraved, corrupt father is sitting in a jail cell. So this is Jr., who sadly is a New Jersey congressman, as well as another congresswoman. So they are complaining that they were arrested. Well, why were they arrested? Because number one, they tried to assault ICE officers. Number two, they refused to move and get out of the place. They sat there on social media for 3 or 4 days, according to their X accounts, talking about how they were going to break in to this ICE facility in Newark. And guess what? Meet Elena Haba, who is a no-nonsense, no one's above the law, New Jersey prosecutor, and now the head district attorney in the state of New Jersey. And she's there for one reason and one reason only, to clean up the crime. And if you dare try to impede the ability of ICE and immigration officials to do their job, guess what? You're going to get handcuffed and you're going to get arrested. So now the left is trying to lie to you. They are telling you a completely different narrative, that they are the victims in here and that they didn't do anything wrong, and this is nothing but jackboot, fascist regime and Nazis and everything else. That's what you're going to hear on the news. But you know what? I believe Elena Haba. Listen to this.
Is happening.
Well, I can confirm, as I have publicly stated, that we have put the mayor, Ras Baraka, under arrest. It's very simple, Martha. As I've said, in the state of New Jersey, as Pam Bondi has said in the United States, we will not stand for anybody getting in the way of getting rid of criminals in this country. It's very simple. Unfortunately, the mayor has publicly for 3 days been saying that he's going to break in, eventually did break in, was given multiple opportunities to remove himself, failed to do so, and has been detained and will be charged.
And where is he being held?
I'm not going to speak to that right now. He's obviously in New Jersey.
But he's in custody.
Yes. He has been arrested and will be charged.
So the report of these individuals, and we have a live, this might be from earlier, this particular video, this is from earlier. Okay, we're going to go back to the live shot in a moment. But these two members of Congress, can you explain the description of breaking into this facility, exactly what they did?
I'm not going to speak to things.
So the other person was Bonnie Watson Coleman, of course a Democrat, and Robert Menendez Jr. They were both arrested, as well as the other one's name is something, what was her name? McKyer or something, a black female. Things that are currently obviously under investigation. I think that if you look at their Twitter, they were very public about it. Look, here's what I'll say, Martha, very generally. There is a problem in this country with breaking the law for the purpose of grandstanding and political hierarchy. That will not stand in my state. That will not stand in this country. Pam Bondi has been very clear of it. If you want to take taxpayer dollars and fly to Venezuela or wherever and meet with MS-13 gang members and use your name to encourage criminals in this country, that will not work here. It's very simple. My job as U.S. Attorney in New Jersey is to protect the New Jersey citizens, to prosecute them, and to run the feds. And that is what we're doing. And when the mayor decides to break the law, when congressmen sneak through gates, there's a problem with that. The truth of the matter is this. We have zero tolerance. As one of my very favorite attorney generals said, no one is above the law. And that is the truth. No one is above the law. But I will tell you one difference between this current administration and the DOJ is we're going to prosecute criminals that are hurting our country, hurting our states. I am very much on board with that in a very much unpolitical way. I don't care who you are. If you do it, we will come after you. And it is very simple. The mayor was asked to be removed. He was asked several times. He chose not to. And now we are in the current circumstance, which is unfortunate. And not only that, But when they arrested him, he tried to run away from them as well. And the other one, I don't know what her name was, LaMonica McIver, some weird name. She actually struck an ICE agent, and that's why she was arrested as well. So again, it's a new sheriff in town, and they're not playing. And if you try to break into an ICE detention center to free the people, or if you try to impede ICE's ability to remove and retain illegal alien criminals, you're going to get arrested. It's really just that simple, okay? Has nothing to do with race or, color or anything like that. There's no discrimination, whether you were white, black, green, purple, or glow in the dark. If you're in the way, you're going to be arrested. It's as simple as that. So glad to see that. Now, they're not playing around with immigration, okay? And what they're doing, in my opinion, is they're dealing with these stupid judges. They're waiting for the right injunction to hopefully squash that. But in the meantime, they're working with other states, with red states, and they are facilitating the mass deportation efforts in the United States. But President Trump is now signing another executive order, Project Homecoming, okay? And what this does is it's going to encourage illegal aliens to immediately self-deport, full-scale, aggressively deportating these people, including an additional 10,000 deportation officers, okay? So they're letting them know that you're not staying here, okay? The free ride is over. We don't care what the judges say. We're going to get creative, and we're going to find other ways to get these people out of the country. So what this new EO does is it establishes Project Homecoming. The proclamation offers illegal aliens a choice. Either leave voluntarily immediately with federal support and financial assistance, or face strict enforcement and penalties. It creates a streamlined process for departure using the CBP Home app, provides government-funded flights at no cost to these illegal aliens, facilitates travel to those lacking valid travel documents, and offers a concierge service at airports to assist with booking travel and claiming an exit bonus. So they're even going to pay them. The proclamation establishes an exit bonus as a financial incentive for illegal aliens who agree to voluntarily and permanently deport the United States. It launches a nationwide communications campaign to inform illegal aliens of the Project Homecoming program and of the severe consequences of remaining in the country illegally, including, of course, prosecution, fines, wage garnishment, and even property confiscation. It details and directs a full-scale, aggressive deportation surge, including with an additional 10,000 deportation officers for illegal aliens who do not deport voluntarily. So let me tell you their strategy. They're trying to deal with the courts. They're trying to deal with these, injunctions. They're fighting these injunctions. They're still doing what they're doing. They're being more creative. They're coming up with different ways. They're using states. Red states are volunteering their manpower to help deport and find these people and get them out. Florida's really doing a good job, but other states are doing a good job as well. And as they're waiting for the courts and the higher courts and the appeals courts to realize that they don't have jurisdiction, they're trying to solve the issue through the courts. In other words, they're not going to declare war or anything like that, at least from what I can tell. But they're not going to just sit back and just accept whatever the courts say. So here's what I mean by that. They're hoping that the appeals court comes to their senses and blocks these injunctions, right? That would be the obvious thing for everybody to have happen. That would be the best course of action, of course, and it would put a rest to all of these injunctions. However, if the Supreme Court gets cute and they don't allow it, or the appeals court, for whatever reason, takes their time and drags their time, time is of the essence here. His goal is to make the country safe again, and he's going to do it, whether they like it or not. So, when asked by Jordan Conradson, who I know from the Gateway Pundit, he was talking to Stephen Miller today, and he said, Stephen, I have a question for you. My question is, you can't hear it, that's why I'm telling you what the question is. What are you planning on doing with the illegal aliens in the country if the judges do not come through? Are you considering habeas corpus? Here's what Stephen Miller had to say.
Hold on, there's a question back there first.
So first he says it, but you can't hear the question, but then he starts talking right about now.
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article III courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article III courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right? So by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction. So it's not just the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch, the courts are at war, these radical rogue judges, with the legislative branch as well, too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes, yes.
Mr. Miller.
There it is. Key word, jurisdiction. So what's going to happen? They're going to play this out through the courts for the next month or two, maybe 3. And then eventually, if the judges don't relent and they don't follow the Constitution, habeas corpus is coming. And we're going to clear out hundreds, thousands, millions upon millions of these invaders and illegal alien criminals. Stay tuned. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.